Hello. Today's show is made possible by My Social Media Coach, providers of social media coaching training for small businesses and nonprofits. Welcome to 219 GreenConnect, where we explore news and information about environmental events here in Northwest Indiana. My guest today is David Mueller from Paul Henry's Art Gallery in Hammond, Indiana, and we'll be talking about their current exhibit. David, why don't you tell us a little bit about the name of the show and how it came to be? Welcome.
Good morning, Kathy. I'd be happy to let you know a little bit about the show. It's titled Pipelines and Borderlines, People Can't Drink Oil. And the show is a collection of 17 artist-made prints. In other words, original signed and numbered prints. These are not mechanically reproduced art. Each one is an individual piece that has been drawn by the artist. When I say drawn, that in technical terms, that means produced. Some are silk screens, some are woodcuts, some are linocuts. But they're all signed and numbered, and there are 17 artists from around the country.
And this show is a travel show, is that right? It's been traveling around since last year?
That's correct. It's been shown in Canada. It's been shown here in the Midwest. It's been shown in Mexico, and it's had an exhibit in Nicaragua as well.
Okay. So the theme, I mean, that's a pretty edgy title, but it is very true. Nobody can argue people can't drink oil. I did have the chance to go and view it very briefly. It wasn't during, an official opening or anything like that, but you and I got to talk briefly, and I thought this would be a good thing to share with the listening audience. I know a lot of people, here in Northwest Indiana, we do need to kind of coexist with industry. Sometimes that's not very peaceful, and especially for our environment. But of special concern, I think, recently is, the new BP project. So was that one of the reasons that you ended up bringing this particular show at this particular time, or what precipitated this coming to Hammond?
Well, I met Beverly Keys, the curator of the collection, and one of the artists also. Her focus with this exhibit is really the entire tar sands oil issue, from the source through the pipelines to the refinery, which we all know the refinery finally has had its upgrade and is online to handle this tar sands oil that will be coming from a major source in Alberta, Canada. The issue is simply what's the trade-off? We need jobs. We've always had jobs here in Northwest Indiana connected with major industry. And now we have a situation where the environmental concerns, well, let's put it this way, we know a lot more about that than we did 50, 80, 100 years ago. This particular area right here where I am is considered one of the 8 most hazardous, potentially devastating environmental disasters in the world because of the historical pollution on site that remains. In other words, I don't want to be too much on the extreme, but just imagine if a F5 tornado or something of that nature came through and just basically roiled up everything that's been deposited over time. You'd have a major ecological concern. The present-day concern, of course, is simply the handling of tar sands oil in the refinery. And that issue is predicated on the fact that the oil company is going to process a very dirty form of oil. Tar sands oil is dirty. Some oil comes out of the ground. You can practically put it in your car and drive away. This is not the case with tar sands oil. It's very dirty, and the byproduct is a lot of junk. Let's put it that way. That will be deposited either in the air or into Lake Michigan. It's a political issue. It's a jobs issue. It's an environmental issue. All of which, really, if all three areas work together, these goals could be accomplished. What the environmental side is saying is that BP got a waiver on their emissions from the state of Indiana in 2007 that allowed them to go forward with present-day construction. They have not had a full EPA federal inspection for some time. To my knowledge, that's one reason they built on their original footprint in Whiting, is that essentially they've been grandfathered in as long as they stayed within that quadrant of their old property. So there has to be some kind of pressure politically from the community, from the environmental community, to ask BP to undergo a thorough EPA inspection so that the toxic levels put into the lake achieve regular federal standards. It is being said that 30 times more mercury, let's just put that one down, along with the other stuff, is going to be put into Lake Michigan beyond federal standards. That's not acceptable to many people, and really it was a state of Indiana issue. They gave the waiver. We sit right on the line with Illinois. We all get our drinking water out of Lake Michigan. For no other thing, you may have poured yourself a cup of coffee made with tap water this morning. We all drink that water. We take showers in it. We swim in it. We come in contact with it. And the more that lake is abused with environmental deviations from healthy standards, it's a reflection on the community as a whole. We all use that lake. It's an invaluable resource shared by 3 states, and really it deserves a federal inspection.
So with this exhibit, what do you think the primary aim of this exhibit would be? To awaken people to the fact that this is, as important, if not more important, than something like a Hurricane Sandy. It's just a little bit more silent, a little more, happening under the radar for some. Would that be accurate?
Well, certainly the issue needs to be drawn to public attention. A couple of weeks ago, I asked my crowd on Thursday night who's heard of tar sands oil, and 2 people out of 65 raised their hand.
Wow. Incredible.
People just don't know. They don't know. So even though this is a very small speck of awareness, every one of these pieces of art draws attention to the issue in one way or another. For the artists, I happen to come from the Gulf Coast, so they've had interactions with the devastation of the Horizon oil spill already. The other artists are from the Midwest, California, and Nicaragua. All of these areas are under environmental pressure from the oil business. Now, this is not to say that a single job has to be lost here. In fact, a few other jobs can be created by trying to achieve clean water standards, and for that matter, clean air standards, because along with the waiver on the emissions into the lake, they got a air waiver, and a lot of sulfur dioxide and other chemicals will be put into the air. Now, of course, historically, Lake County, somewhat Porter County, Indiana, have been traditionally, we've always had a trade-off. We have always traded off living in our environment here for a job. Those jobs allowed a man to put his kids through college, buy a home, and achieve retirement. But the job levels are way down. We don't have those jobs anymore. So consequently, any result of the pollution goes out and affects the community surrounding it with very little payback in the terms of jobs. Modern industry is much more efficient. It doesn't require the hands-on labor it once did. Many of the long-term 40-year career jobs will never come back. Much of the work is done by subcontractors at this time, with no benefits from the manufacturer, or in this case, the oil refinery.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the exhibit itself, because I think all of these points are valid that you're mentioning, but I do want to bring it around to this exhibit and how it kind of fits into that theme. First, just let's get the logistics out of the way. How long will the exhibit be there? And let's let people know how they can find out more about you and about your gallery.
Well, the exhibit will be installed here until August 24th. We will have a closing reception on that day. Again, 17 artists from around the country. It's a wonderful exhibit because the artists, first of all, it's solid, good art, and it varies. I mean, the statements through the art, some are poster form. In other words, they're very direct. Some are more subtle. You have to interpret the message. So each artist has taken their turn to create a statement about the issue. So consequently, you have a collection here that's been curated by Beverly Keys that represents 17 statements on the tar sands oil issue. Let's not forget also that the tar sands oil issue also includes the pipelines. We already know that pipelines are built to fail. They're going to break, the leak, create local issues when that happens, wherever it happens. And the source in Canada, I mean, they're taking subarctic wilderness basically and strip mining the product out of the ground, much as we used to do with coal here in this country. So really the entire process is devastating, and much of this art points to each sector of the issue in the exhibit, within the exhibit. So you have a nice collection. Again, there are prints available. It's a print show. These are not big oil paintings or anything else. They're very affordable. Each print is signed and numbered, and we also have an ongoing raffle, which the winner will get their choice, whichever print they like at the end at the closing reception. If you wish to reach me, you can do that. My phone number is 5015. My email is info@paulhenrysart.com. And then I also have a Facebook page, Paul Henry's Art Gallery. Any of the three, you'll find information about this exhibit.
Okay. Can you give people the address to tell them how to find you if they happen to want to head there?
Sure. We're in downtown Hammond. We're on Sibley, just east of Holman. So the actual street address is 416 Sibley in downtown Hammond. Very easy to access from all points. People in Illinois can come down the expressway to the Sibley exit and just take Sibley all the way across. You can take the freeway in 94 and get off Calumet Avenue and come north if you're coming from the east. From the south, of course, any of the major arteries, local arteries leading north through the county, you can take those and then come over on the east-west routes. And again, if you need directions, just call the phone number and I'll get you here.
Great.
No problem. I am, by the way, Kathy, I'm open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. and on Sunday from noon until 5. I am closed Monday. You also may call for an appointment outside of the hours that I listed.
Okay.
Some people, I understand, in the art business, we try to offer our display and work with the viewers. So if you just can't get here during regular hours, call the phone number and we'll set up an appointment.
Well, you're obviously very passionate about this subject and about art in general to make that offer. So, yeah, if you happen to hear this broadcast and this is the reason you're heading to Paul Henry's Art Gallery, tell David that you heard him on 219 GreenConnect. That would let us all know that this message is working. And please spread the word to anybody who you think, really cares about this topic and or would like to know more. Art is a gateway to information. I think that it just comes at us a little more viscerally, a little more differently than watching a documentary on PBS or, just listening to David and I talk about it. I think, as David said, some of these pieces are a little more hard-hitting, in your face. The one of the toilet kind of comes to mind. That was pretty easy to interpret. There were some others. What was the one that was called Ruby Muck? Something like that.
Oh, that's a beautiful piece.
That is a beautiful piece.
It's done by an artist, Liz Bourne. It's called Muck-Minded Centuries of the Ruby Monolith.
Right, that's it.
And it shows two waterfowl kind of peering around a kind of a ruby-colored triangle. Now, that one's a woodcut, and it's a real fine piece. And again, these are all for sale and unframed. The artist Liz Bourne is a Chicago artist.
And I do have to put in a plug, too, just for what you will experience by going to the gallery and having a visit. It's just one of the it's one of the more intimate art galleries that I've ever been in, and it just feels very accessible, very welcoming. Your family owned that hardware store, is that right, David? And you came back.
Right. We've been in business since 1887 here in downtown Hammond as a hardware store, and I converted it to a gallery back in October of 2008, which really wasn't great timing for anything in a discretionary spending sector, but I really wanted to do this. And the present exhibit, it's taken me roughly 5 years to get a topic that verged on a political statement, which is what this essentially does. Now, I'm an environmental advocate. I personally don't feel that being an environmentalist throws you into a political realm. However, it seems like that's what's happened. To me, environmental issues affect all of us, and there really shouldn't be any politics with it. But we've seen that happen through the course of the last 50 years. I mean, the first Earth Day, you had hippies and suits and ties promoting Earth Day.
Mm-hmm.
Now the environment has become a political issue like anything else. So the exhibit we have is essentially a statement exhibit. I also feel strongly that if you are an artist or an art gallery, you need to occasionally address an important issue, be it a national issue or a regional issue or a local issue. It so happens that this particular issue is all three of those.
Mm-hmm.
So truly, people need to become aware, and that's the whole idea here. Just to bring a little bit more awareness of the issue to people that may not know about it. It's important. It doesn't get much play in the press. So, for whatever reason, it just doesn't get a lot of exposure, but it affects all of us.
Yeah, water is a pretty big equalizer. I think any of us would be very challenged to get through the day without acknowledging our vast reliance on water. I mean, to your point, we shower in it, we make coffee with it, we, go to the lake and enjoy it from a recreation standpoint. It's just not something we'd really do very well without. So, I give you a lot of credit for putting the spotlight on this and taking that on. You shared with me a little bit about your environmental background. You want to spend a minute or two just saying something about that? Kind of how you came into your environmental awareness and some of your background?
Well, it's a pretty basic story. I mean, I've been a naturalist since age 5, I suppose. I had a keen interest in the outdoors, and when I went to college, I studied fishery biology, and when I moved out to Utah, I became an advocate in the community out there. So I've had this in my background for a number of years. Now, when I moved back, of course, our main source of income was selling automotive paint. So right then and there was kind of a crossroads. You have to respect business in the industry that you're in. What I made an effort to do within that role is try to get the guys to use the product, which is very toxic. Try to encourage them to use it safely. It seemed like we were constantly going to funerals. These guys would work in these body shops and be unprotected, essentially. And, it's like anything else. You work in it and you become accustomed, but the effects are accruing all the time. And roughly 20 years ago, the technology came out where a technician could work in a body shop in a much safer way. I made an effort to try to explain the safety issues. It's about all I could do within that business. So, when we closed the paint shop down and I didn't have to deal in toxic chemicals anymore, and entered into the gallery phase, really, it took 5 years for the proper issue to come forth. I didn't force it. I was introduced to Beverly Keys by another artist here locally, Thomas Frank, and she had the collection. She was interested in showing it here in Northwest Indiana because of the direct locale importance of having the issue presented right where the hotbed of the whole thing is taking place. So, I needed to wait until the right time to meet the right artist to make a statement like we have done. Now, does that mean I'm going to be a hotbed of radical environmentalism from now on? I don't think so. In the gallery business, you kind of let things flow. But I do have a never-ending interest in the environment, and again, that's been a lifelong thing.
Yeah, well, I think just supporting local arts in a way is part of that environment. It's creating local opportunities. It's providing a gathering place, which I know you do for your what are they called, your open mic or jam sessions on Thursday. I mean, they just look like so much fun. I think that is part of building a healthy local economy, is to provide a brick and mortar place for those things to come together and for people to network and talk about these important things, to pose questions about.
Kathy, we need to get you over here some Thursday night, Kathy.
I do. We
need to get you in here to see how much fun it is. Because
I need to get
really
a hybrid or get really better at biking, because I have to say, I really do try to kind of think about my own oil consumption. And usually when I visit you, I'm on my way to presenting a program next door to where you are at the Hammond Innovation Center or something like that. But, yeah, as much as I would love to be there every Thursday, I don't have, I don't have a Prius. So I don't make a lot of discretionary trips, and I am sorry about that, because I know I miss out on some good times. But anyway,
we'll have to get you to carpool.
There you go. I like that.
Somebody else coming over.
There you go.
There are
I like
plenty of people that come over from Porter County. I mean, every Thursday there are at least a dozen or so people from Porter County who come.
Well, that's a great idea. So if you're hearing this and you want to get out one of the Thursday night jam sessions, please go to either David's Facebook, post something there, or go to 219 GreenConnect on Facebook. And I know we're almost out of time, David. I really want to thank you for being with us today and sharing information about this important show. It's Borderlines and Pipelines, People Can't Drink Oil, and it's at Paul Henry's Art Gallery in Hammond, downtown Hammond. You can get information from the directions David left previously on the show, or check out our website, 219greenconnect.com, and we'll include links on all of the things that we've talked about. So thanks again, David. If you're just hearing this, you've been listening to another episode of 219 Green Connect. You can find us online at 219greenconnect.com, now with a new and improved event calendar that has all kinds of great environmental events happening all over the region. So take a look at that. Add your own green events if you've got one. And you can also find us on Facebook, 219 Green Connect. And that's about all of our time for today. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Kathy. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity to project a little bit about the exhibit and the issue involved.
Great. Well, I hope you'll, again, thanks so much.
Okay. Talk with you later.